I use Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini almost every single day for various different tasks. The one thing is that I don't let any of them own the memory. They all read and write back to the same Notion system I built, and I'm calling it AmitOS. But here's what that means in practice. From my phone, I can drop a rough task into a queue, set it as queued, and then walk away. I approve it, the agent finishes its action, and then files the work and records what changed. The model can change, but the context survives. But the real power comes from using different AI models to do different tasks, like Gemini for image and thumbnail generation, but Claude for script writing. The problem is that when you take both of them to do the separate tasks, but want continuity in voice and tone and brand design, you want to make sure that they're following the same memory order. And that's really the main thing that this operating system achieves, in contrast to a folder full of notes. Notion holds the durable memory, rules, work state, and history. Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini, and the rest of my tools become different ways to work with the same system. So in this video, I want to show you exactly how I built this operating system and help you create a functioning version for yourself. Basically a central homepage, a durable memory layer, operating system rules, a task queue, and one place that your AI agents can read them and write back to. It's almost like this really intricate database that holds everything you need for your workflow. The best part is that we're gonna be building the whole thing using a few simple prompts. I'll put the exact prompts in the description below so you can just copy them, follow along, and then customize the system around the way that you work. By the end of the video, you'll have a working foundation you can start using immediately and then continue shaping over time. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the prompt in the description below. You can find it on my site as well, agenticamit.com. Everything here is completely free. I don't charge for anything, but you can jump into the prompt section here, and then it's the create an AI native OS. I tried to build this prompt out as best as I possibly thought was reflective of what you may run into. And then there are a couple places here where you can drag and drop or replace whatever you want for your specific operating system instead of mine. Mine is content focused and also my work focus. But for the most part, you'll see a couple really cool use cases that I'm going to be showing you that you can use it for. And then you can adapt it for your use case accordingly. So let's dive right in. The three things that we're going to need to kind of learn about are Notion. We're going to connect Notion to our Claude. And then we're also going to make sure that we have the prompt, our AI agent can build out the entire operating system for us using the prompt that we give it. So the first thing that I want to do is open up Claude. You can use any AI agent, as I mentioned in the intro. I'm just using Claude here because it's one of the simplest way to configure, but I've tested this on Gemini and ChatGPT already, and it works perfectly fine. The first thing you need to do is connect this to your Notion. Now, this is not Notion specific. You can use something like Obsidian. I was using Obsidian before. I found Notion to be a little bit better because of its extensibility with the amount of things that you can do. It's a little bit more curated to writing, which is a lot of the workflow that I do. And it handles file uploading and support a little bit better, which I'll show you is a part of my workflow quite extensively. So the first thing you want to do is go into connectors. So press this little plus button, go into connectors, and then click add a connector or manage connectors. If you jump into manage connectors, just go into add at the top here, browse connectors, and just search for Notion. I've already got mine configured, but you'll see a little plus button here. You can click that and it'll open up a browser for you where you can log into your Notion, or just open up the Notion app if you have it installed already. Once you do that, make sure you log into your Notion workspace that you're going to be wanting to use for this one. Now, we can jump into any chat here and grab the prompt. So I'll just jump back into the prompt here really quickly. So we can copy this prompt and jump into any chat, and then we can just paste it in. I want you to create an operating system for my entire workflow using the prompt I just pasted in. Pretty simple. You can change this model to one that's not super complex, super advanced. You can use Sonnet 5, work perfectly fine. Actually, a lot of the newer models have tool access anyways, and the only requirement for this to work is that you need a model that has tool access so I can interact with Notion. Notion's MCP, which is what we just connected, has all of the functionality to create pages, list pages, delete pages, update pages, so on, which is what we're gonna need to do, or what the AI agent's gonna need to do. So this, really the meat and potatoes here is this pasted content, which is the prompt itself, right? So you can go ahead and send this off. Once it's done, it's going to take a while to build it, but once it's done, it'll give you the link to your actual operating system. I'm not going to run this here, otherwise it's going to try to build it for me again, but I did run it and it came up with this, all right? So I will show you my OS, but of course yours will be different, right? Like depending on what you want to do for your workflow, your operating system will be different. The thing that is probably one of the most important is this here, start here. So any AI agent that falls in this operating system or lands in this operating system, which you're going to instruct them to do anyways, will start here and know exactly where it needs to go in order to complete different things. Now, I've got 4 different types of workflows that I want to support through my operating system. So you'll see that outlined in this table here. The first one is Agentic Amit, which is my content for AI education. I'm also thinking about making this is a little spoiler, a content channel for all of the tech that I have on my desk that I use for productivity. I'm a big tech gadget nerd, so I'd like to make a little bit of content around that. And then I have a consulting business that I do work on, and this operating system saves me a lot of time for this consulting specifically because it generates statements of work for me, invoices, receipts, and it tracks everything for me, all of the stuff that I'm not really good at, organization. And then I have a couple of real estate investment properties, so I like to manage it through here as well. So this system, of course, like I said before, you want to customize it for your own need. This is for my need, and actually I never had this real estate one here before. It added it subsequently when I wanted that specific workflow to be covered inside of my operating system. So pretty cool. If we jump right in, you can actually see a little bit more verbiage around how the AI agent needs to navigate it. And then realistically, all the AI agent did was create a bunch of different pages for me. I will show you 2 flows. The first one is the system, the content system that it built for Agentic Amit. It has my branding and everything in it too. And the way that I did that was I gathered and collected all of my branding assets, fed it into the AI agent after it finished building AmitOS, and I said, here's my Agentic Amit content branding. Go ahead and parse it all and then throw it into my operating system. Every time I want to build a carousel or imagery or animations or whatever, refer back to the branding so that it creates continuity anytime I want to build, some stuff. So the next thing that I want to talk a little bit about here is the scripts. So anytime I ask it to develop a script for me or help me ideate a new script, I just created a video on creating a rag with Supabase, and this is what it was able to develop for me. And you'll actually see, I'll show you another video on how I developed an MCP server that will create the assets for me by default. So basically, I will collect everything that I want to do for any of these YouTube videos, the entire build, gather all of the assets, set it up, and do all of the kind of behind the scenes stuff, all of the coding, making sure the build works and whatever. But the production portion, I want to make sure is streamlined as much as possible. If you're interested in how I did this, just drop a comment below and I can make another video on that. But basically, I created an MCP server that has all of the information that's necessary to run for creating these assets here. And all I did with my AI agent, as I said, I created a new chat and I said, go into AmitOS. Anytime I have a script idea, take all of the context for my script, generate a script that will hopefully work better on YouTube, and then generate all of the assets for it and generate a teleprompter script as well. So for example, I can copy and paste this into my teleprompter app, and then I can just speak to the camera for my intros and my outros. The middle portion of the videos, the builds, don't script, obviously, it's off the cuff, but you'll see it creates all of this for me. And then I also tell it to create all of the assets using the MCP server, which I can talk a little bit more in the next video if you're interested. So you'll see it generates a lot of assets. And then what I do is just, I kind of hand this off to the editor, or if I'm editing myself, then I'll edit it using all of these assets, and it reduces the amount of production time significantly, right? Because I'm not a good designer, obviously, so I wouldn't be able to do this myself. And that's it. So that anytime I ask my AI agent now to go into create a new script, it'll go find the path in order to generate that script and then generate it into here. I didn't set anything up. I just set up the prompt and then I told it I wanted to do that, and it went out and did it. So the next thing I want to show you is that you can start getting creative with anything that you want to do. For me specifically, because I run an AI consultancy, I have a lot of clients and projects that are on the go at any point in time. So I've only left it so there's only a couple in here, but it's just for the purposes of illustrations. But if I open up clients, you'll see all of my different clients. Anytime I ask my AI agent now, like, hey, I have a new client, I want to create a statement of work for them, and I want to create an invoice for them, and I want you to start tracking all the receipts that I accrue that are related to hanging out with this client or interacting with this client, software receipts or whatever, then it'll store it all accordingly. And it cross-references the clients within this database with the projects here. Now, what you'll start to notice actually is that this is very reminiscent of a relational database management system. And I am all for architecting a really complex, verbose, production-ready system And under normal circumstances, now I'm getting to the point where I think that that's only necessary if you're trying to sell something like this as a software as a service. For me, I just needed to use this to conduct my workflow and my daily operations. So I didn't need to do any of the severe, like the significant architecting. So that's why I really like Notion, because I could spin up a database like clients or invoices or projects with a simple command. I like with a simple click of the button. I didn't need to do anything. So for example, I don't really have any projects listed here, but I do have like invoices, right? So as soon as I start generating whatever clients and invoices, I can start getting my AI agent to generate the invoices for me. And then I can even set it up so it'll automatically send off the invoices to my client. So same thing with receipts. And then this is the work queue. So if I ever have like a task that I need to queue, I can queue it up from my phone, put it into the work queue, and the AI agent, I'll have a task like cowork, for example, that runs on an ongoing basis, that will also go up and pick up any tasks in the queue. Now, I don't use this too much because I don't have like a huge production workflow where I manage a significant amount of employees. But if that was the case, this work queue would work perfectly fine for me. So anyways, this is kind of a big rundown or kind of general rundown of how my AmitOS works, and hopefully it gives you some ideas, but of course yours will not be the same. The last thing that I wanted to show you that you would need to do to get this to work is jump back into Claude, and then go into settings, and then go into general, and then instructions for Claude. This is a little prompt, and I'll drop it in the description below, that you can paste into your Claude's instructions so that every chat knows that there is the existence of this operating context called AmitOS and where to find it. So it'll go in, find the AmitOS, and then start to dive in from there. Now, there is a caveat, right? So with this AmitOS or any tool that you connect, or anytime you ask Claude a specific instruction, you will basically accrue more context in any of your conversations, which means that anytime you're running a chat and you get it to do something, it will take longer to get done. But for me, the performance, the accuracy outweighs the performance cost. So for example, on average, maybe I experience my chats take 20 to 30 seconds longer than if I didn't have this AmitOS always on. But for me, it was a good trade-off because I always generally value accuracy over performance and speed. And I think that's the case for most people that are working with AI right now. You want to be able to set a task, let it run, and then forget it and know that it'll probably do it to the best of its ability. So once you're done that, you can go ahead and save it, and your operating system will be all good to go. And that's it. You now have a functioning first version of your own AI operating system. Your agents now have a defined place that they can begin, a durable memory layer they need to consult every time they need to do something, rules for how they should work, and a queue for new tasks. The important part is that none of this belongs to just one model. You can use Claude for one task, ChatGPT for another, and Gemini for your image generation stuff. The best part is that context and work history remain in the system that you control. If you want to create this yourself, all of the prompts we use in this build are in the description below. You can copy them and then build the initial structure and then adapt it around your own work and preferences. So I want to know, I'm using this a lot for my personal content and my work, but what would you be using it for? Tell me in the comments below, and for more practical AI systems without the hype, subscribe so the next one finds you. See you in the next one.